All right, coming back again with the WGR Live. Let's try this one more time. We had to make some technical changes. I hope that it works. And I realize my hair looks a little goofy on here today, but it's okay. See if we can get Brooke back in here as we are. Make sure you guys log in. We'll try this one more time. Make sure you guys log in, put where you're from, where you're located, and you're going to want to stay tuned for this live stream. I'm going to try and fit it in over the next 25 minutes as I interview actually my mentor's wife, who's a doctor who cured herself of the deadly disease called lupus. You heard it right, the deadly disease called lupus. Brooke, as you pop in, put a comment that you're on here. Let me just check. Oh, here we are, starting to see some people here. Took just 1 second to get it going. Let's see, hold on. Okay, so she's on here, so let's see if I can find her. It's not popping up. Brooke, if you're here, post a comment. And actually post some comments so I can see if you guys are on, make sure my comments are working. I see Joseph popped on, Darcy popped on. Oh, Darcy and Chloe are on here, so that means our comments are definitely working. Oh, and there's Brooke. Now we got her. I'm going to invite you right now. Coming out to you, Brooke. You just got to click acceptance button. So real quick, as we're waiting for her, make sure buyers or sellers for Utah real estate get a hold of me and my sales team. We take referrals from you guys.
Oh,
we
it's
pay fast and quick. There she is. We got it to work. Is this your first time doing a dual live stream before?
Yeah, I've never done it with another person before.
Oh, look at that. All fancy. Awesome. So real quick, guys, because we're gonna do a quick stream today, 20 minutes, 25 minutes max. Brooke, in 60 seconds or less, introduce who you are and what your background is as much as you can in 60 seconds. Go for it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, I'm a medical doctor that helps people reverse chronic diseases like autoimmune disease using supermarket foods. And I've been doing this for quite a long time now, ever since I was able to heal myself from lupus almost 13 years ago, 100% using diet. And I've been healing people from all over the world, from things like lupus, scleroderma, Sjogren's, MS, rheumatoid arthritis. I teach at hospitals, I teach doctors, and do everything I can to get the word out. So I'm excited to get to meet your audience and get to help them learn how to do this too.
Awesome. We appreciate you. Go ahead.
I think that was like 30 seconds.
37 seconds. It was right on. Hey, guys, make sure to hit that share button right now so we can get this message out. This, to me, is one of the most important messages you're going to hear probably this entire week. So, Brooke, when you heard you had lupus, like, what's the first thought going through your mind back when you like, oh my gosh, I got lupus?
Oh gosh, I was 16 years old when I was diagnosed with lupus, and I don't really remember a lot of thoughts. I kind of went blank. I didn't really understand what it was. Back then was a time before Google. That's, I'm 40 years old now. So at 16, we didn't even have internet yet back in those old days, right? So, which I think was a benefit in some ways. I had no idea that it was such a deadly disease. I didn't know what I was in for. I was mostly just stunned. At the time I was diagnosed, I had rashes and I had arthritis and I had migraines that would make me vomit for days. But I also was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure, stage 4 kidney failure. That was rapidly progressing, and they told me that actually I had 6 months to live unless I did an experimental therapy using chemotherapy. And so I actually was put on chemotherapy for 2 years straight trying to save my kidneys, which it did. But yeah, for me, it was just kind of a stunned situation, and my mom just kept me focused on do what you need to do because you are finishing high school and you are going to college and you're going to get a scholarship and you better get, A's in all your classes. And so that actually really helped me. I stayed focused, but I saw what it did to my family. I'm an only child. My family's Holocaust survivors. So I was first born in this country, going to do everything, the American dream. And there I was at 16 dying. So, I remember hearing my family crying behind closed doors and my grandmother on her knees begging God to take her and spare me. And it was just, it was an awful experience. But it also showed me what I was made of. And I found a place of gratitude for my life and a focus that however long my life would be, I'd make it matter. I'd do something that would help people in some way. So I always kept a good mindset through that.
And you are definitely making this life worth living. So let me ask you this, because most people believe there is no cure for these autoimmune disorders and lupus, right? And you are living proof there is a cure. So how did you all of a sudden change to where, oh my gosh, you got a cure for lupus? Like, what happened?
I wish I could say that I was so brilliant. I figured it out. Did not. Went to medical school and learned that it was an incurable disease, and that you know, that I was lucky to have the time I had. And actually, medical school started having blood clots into my brain and had a mini stroke. And so I knew all too well as a physician, or as a new physician, that, you know, I had a time clock running. But yeah, so that was my belief, but I just kind of figured, well, you know, at least I'm going to graduate and I'm going to do good things and I'll live as long as I can. And then I met Thomas Tadlock, who you know.
I do know Thomas.
Yes. And so he wanted to marry me even though I was sick, which, you know, at 28 years old, that was pretty incredible. He just wanted to take care of me and give me the best life he could. And so I went, crap, let's do this. I mean, he's an amazing guy. And he was already a celebrity trainer at the time. And so I asked him if he would make me look like the people he trained on MTV for our wedding. And at first he thought it was a trap, like, no, you're beautiful. I'm like, no, I really mean it. I want you to train me. So he was training people for MTV and doing all this stuff, but he put them on a diet that was kind of like modern paleo. I mean, granted, this was 13 years ago, but it was very high in vegetables and very high in omega-3s and water, but it also had like free range meat kind of stuff. But I'd been vegetarian since I was a kid. Just because I loved animals, but I ate, well, I was cheeseatarian. I ate tons of dairy products. And so he said, well, dairy makes you fat. So I will change my diet and get rid of the meat. You got to get rid of your dairy. And we accidentally created a completely plant-based or vegan diet that was very high in nutrients, very high in raw foods and everything, like those smoothies you're drinking. And within 3.5 months, not only did I go from a size 11 to a 3, and I like was ripped for our wedding, but I had 0 aches and pains. I was an intern working 30-hour shifts, and I would finish a 30-hour shift and go to the gym. I had so much energy, which anyone who's listening who has autoimmune disease knows that that's just, usually it's hard to have the energy to brush your teeth. And I was running around like a madwoman, just so excited and happy. And right before we left for our wedding, I had blood tests that were negative for lupus. And they thought it was a lab error because I'd had it for 12 years of my life. I'd had a mini stroke in medical school. It wasn't like a mild case. I'd been told I was going to die multiple times in my life up till then. And it was just gone. And this year will be 13 years that it's just not been here. And I've had 2 kids, which they told me it would kill me to have kids with lupus. A lot of women die in childbirth or get very sick. I've had 2 children, healthy pregnancies. And I'm the healthiest 40-year-old you could meet. And so, you know, we were able to, Thomas and I are both scientists, so we went back and reverse engineered what the heck did we do, because this isn't normal. And we found out we'd accidentally created the most anti-inflammatory diet possible. We started running people through programs and really simplified it and made it as easy to do as possible, and have been able to replicate those results in people all over the world.
So everyone, I drink this green smoothie because of her and Thomas. Right? It's because of these guys that I dropped so much fat. I've got healthier. I've got way more energy. I don't have to sleep as much. I just sleep normal, right? And it's transitioned and passed on to my kids now. They're starting to do it. And my kids, I don't know if you know this, they, I mean, are allergic to dairy when they're little kids. We didn't know anything different, right? So we just stopped giving it to them. Allergic to eggs. And so as we started seeing these things, we were like, wait a second, something else is going on. We're not experts at all. We got to find out what the answer is. And I was just enough of being fat and letting my shit go, right? Like I was done with it. I got blessed to connect with Thomas. He helped me out. So how can these guys join? You have a Facebook group, right? Can they go join that? Is that a free group, or how do they get involved with that? Absolutely.
Absolutely. So Thomas and I believe that everyone should have the right to have amazing health and to grow old with the people they love. And so while people do hire us, I'm a doctor of the future. I work entirely, like everyone who sees me, it's like this, over Skype. So I can see people from wherever they are. But we want everyone to be able to have access to the information. And so we actually have a free group. You're in it, Smoothie Shred. If you go to smoothieshred.com, SHRED, it's actually a free group. We give recipes for our healing green smoothies. Tom throws in his exercises that'll make you hot if you want to. But also exercise helps reverse inflammation and improves your immune system. And so that group is free. And we've got just about 5,000 people now from all over the world. And we're going to be starting up a new challenge soon. Where we challenge people for 28 days straight to drink their blender of smoothies. And what we see happening is people are coming off their medications. They're not just losing like huge amounts of fat and buying smaller pants. They're coming off anxiety medications, allergy medications, blood pressure medications, and that's 100% for free. We just wanted to build a community because we found that a lot of people struggle. You know, you're the weird one when you start drinking green stuff. You know, all of a sudden, all your friends and family are like, "What's going on with you?" You know, like, are you gonna get bell bottoms next? Tie dye? What are you doing? Right? So at least if you have a community, it feels like you have the support you need. And of course, Thomas and I are super active answering people's questions there too.
Just so you guys know, when I first started in the group, it was like the end of last November. I started drinking the smoothie. I tried doing like maybe 2 or 3 workouts. I went from about 206 to mid 190s just on my own, following you guys. And then that's when I started January 18th. I started working one-on-one with Thomas, went from mid 190s to about 174 right now. And the best health I've been in my entire 32 years of life. Like, so this works. And David, I know you asked for the recipe. Inside of the group, you guys share the recipe, right? Yep. Is that what it is?
For free, yeah. So, yeah, if you go to smoothieshred.com, you can see the recipes without even joining our group. We give that away, and the group is free too. You just have to put your email and we'll add you to the group ourselves. We just don't want anyone in the group who doesn't want to be there. So if you personally request it, we'll add you. But like sometimes people will add their friends and we're like, nope, because we've been added to thousands of groups and we're like, how did I end up in this group? I didn't even apply.
Yeah.
So if you personally request it, we'll put you in our group. But if you go to smoothieshred.com, all the recipes are there.
Awesome. And you've got a webinar coming up. Is it today or when is your webinar?
Tonight, yeah. So I believe the information you need to heal should be free. So, you know, I'm best-selling books on Amazon, but some people tell me I can't even buy Goodbye Lupus. It's $15. And they're like, I can't. So I'm like, come to my webinar. So I'm doing a 3-part series, the 6 easy steps to reversing disease with supermarket foods. I just did class 1 on last Thursday, but if you register for the webinar, you'll get a video of class 1 so you could catch up. So class 1 was the 3 things you're eating right now that are making you sick. Class 2 is tonight, the 3 foods that you need to heal your body. And then coming up this next Thursday will be case studies where I'm going to introduce you to people all over the world that have healed from different diseases and tell you exactly what they ate and how they did it.
So let's kind of switch gears, guys. Go join that group. It'll be a life changer.
I'll post the webinar details in the comments afterwards for people who want to see it. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. And then also, Brooke, so let's talk about what are people eating that's killing them, that maybe they don't have an autoimmune disorder, but literally they're overweight, they're sluggish, they're slowly killing themselves. What's going on with the society today?
What's going on in society today? That's a loaded question. Okay, but food specifically. You know, we're sicker as a nation and as a world than we've ever been before, and it has to do with our food supply. And so we all have different genes. And a lot of people will say, isn't there different diets for different people? We're all different. We're more the same than we are different. I mean, we really are. Our cells need the same thing. And that's what we do is we teach people how to eat for your cells, because that's the only way you could feed your cells. You know, most of us eat to get high. I call it recreational eating. You know, you eat because you eat it and you're like, oh, that was good. But you got nothing for your body, right? So when you eat and when you eat the wrong things, you actually will trigger your genes for disease. So I got lupus at 16. My friends who are eating the same food as me, they didn't get lupus, but right now they have heart disease, they've had heart attacks, they have other autoimmune diseases, they have cancer. And all of that's coming from, it just looks different because it gets triggered by chronic inflammation that's coming from their food. So foods like animal products, you know, meat and dairy products, there's zero that you need to get from them, and they're actually triggering your disease for illness. And I went into it in depth in my last webinar, but it just triggers inflammation, acidity, destroys the flora in your gut so that you've got the wrong bacteria that actually promote heart disease, all of those things. Processed foods, you know, stuff that your grandmother wouldn't have recognized as food. Some stuff that requires ingredients because it's not just food. It's like stuff that you need a lab to produce. Things like oils, all of those things are contributing to illness. And when you think about it, that's the majority of what a lot of people eat. Animal products, processed food, and oils, that's a burger with cheese, a bag of chips. You know, that's what people eat. And that's why people are getting so sick. So even if you got diabetes and someone else got cancer, it's being driven by the same source.
So just to kind of narrow this, guys, down, what she's saying is you need a nutritional food that's going to keep inflammation from flaring up in your body. You need anti-inflammatory, right? And high in omega-3s, is that from what I've learned from you? High omega-3s. Not omega-6s and 9s, but omega-3s is the secret. Is that
right? So when you're eating to heal, what you need is high raw produce, especially greens, which is why we created the smoothie solution, because if you can drink everything you need for your cells, then there's less pressure on your food. Right. So what we do in Smoothie Solution is we don't require people to give up anything. So anyone who decides to go to smoothieshred.com, we don't say you have to go vegan or anything. What we've noticed is if people add what they're missing, they start healing even if they haven't given up the bad stuff yet. The miracles happen when you do both. But for some people, that's way too scary. So I'm like, if you're going to eat a cheeseburger, can you have a smoothie first? They're like, all right, I can work with you, doc, right? So we do that. So omega-3s and omega-6s are both essential in that you have to eat them in order to get them. Omega-6 creates our inflammatory immune cells, which we do need inflammation to, you bang your knee, it swells up, you need inflammation. But you also need anti-inflammatory immune cells to get rid of inflammation. And you can only get that from omega-3s. And most people don't have any omega-3s in their diet. So they think we should have a ratio of about 1 to 9, 1 to 1 to 1 to 9 of 3 to 6. The last time they tested this, which was many years ago, most Americans had a ratio of 1 to 40, which means all of our bodies are super, super inflamed, which is what's triggering all the disease. And when we can get that ratio lower, so how I hack into their immune system, I go, fine, let's try to get rid of as much omega-6 as we can, which is processed foods, animal products have it, and especially oils. If we get rid of that, and then we flood you with omega-3s with really high doses of flaxseed and chia seeds, we can actually hack into your body and change that balance. And immediately they're in less pain than they were before. So it's pretty cool. Their swelling goes down, their pain gets better, their skin gets better, and they're like, I never knew I could feel this way. So,
it's so funny because like when I started really getting into drinking smoothies all the time, the comment I heard most from people was, "Oh my gosh, your skin is like glowing. Like your skin is just," and that's the number one compliment I got from people, and it blows my mind. And so when I first started, and I probably made some comments in the group like, I'm not going vegan. Like, vegan is not me. Like, Thomas, like, listen, man, I'll do the smoothie. I'll do the workout. I'm not going vegan. What's funny is I'm not like 100% there, but I've naturally just weaned off of animal products and meats, and I feel great. And when I actually eat meat, like I'll sneak some steak or whatever because I'm with some people, I can feel it in my body. Just like when I used to eat bread or something like that, I literally can feel foggy and just gross the next day. That's the inflammation that's happening in my body. Is that what that is?
Yeah, and most people, it's a couple things there, but most people have no idea how good they can feel. They just know what they're addicted to. So it's like, when I eat that cheeseburger, I feel so good. Don't take that from me. And so what happens is our kind of sneak approach is that when you start drinking these smoothies, and these are specifically designed to be anti-inflammatory. They're not just any green smoothie. Sometimes you go online and it'll be like, all fruit with like an anointment of greens, like 4 leaves or something. This is like super, super charged anti-inflammatory. So when you start eating those or drinking those, you feel the difference. So you have your smoothie and you're like, oh my God, I have energy. Like, people think they have a caffeine deficiency when they're low in energy. You don't have a caffeine deficiency, you have a nutrient deficiency. So you drink that and you're like, oh, I feel great. Let me go work out. Let me do this. And then you have some steak and you're like, oh, I need to sit. Right. And so when you feel the difference, you naturally start craving the energy. Like, I always say, I'm way more addicted to being healthy than I ever was to cheese. I mean that 100%. Like, I can't even stand the idea of cheese now, but it was very hard for me to give up because that was like, I'd come home from work and just a block of Gouda, it felt so good, but I had no idea what it was doing. It's hard to digest too, so it takes a whole lot of energy and blood supply to try to digest that meat, which our digestive tract really isn't designed for. And also, when you start eating this way, you start choosing or selecting for the healthy bacteria in your gut that prefer this food. They're not good at chewing up meat. And so it becomes harder and harder to eat the bad foods the healthier you get, which I say is a positive. So I tell people, you don't have to give that stuff up. You can have it once in a while. You just won't want it because you have it and you get a stomach ache and you're like, ugh. So it naturally reinforces itself,
Awesome. Just real quick, want to give a shout out. Katrina, David, Darcy, thanks for sharing this stream. Give some reactions if you guys are already learning something, or maybe even put in the comments below if you might have some of these challenges with where you eat just to eat. It makes you feel better. You can't quite lose the extra pounds you're hoping for. Maybe you're just low on energy. And go to Smoothie Shred, learn how you can get more energy. So one thing I just learned from you is if we want to get more energy, stop wasting our energy on trying to break down this food that's causing the inflammation in our bodies. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's one of it. But for most people, if you're getting enough sleep and you're tired, you are either low on nutrients or water every time. So for some people, they just, I meet people who literally the only water they have is whatever they swallow when they brush their teeth. They're on coffee. Somebody actually told me that once. They're on, so much coffee and energy drinks and they're not getting any water. So if you're not drinking water, you need to do that. You need large amounts of water and you need nutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, phytoenzymes, antioxidants, and all that comes from plants. And when you get the combination of those things, like a smoothie has about 40 ounces of water in it, and then all the greens and everything, you feel amazing for that reason. You're just getting flooded with all those nutrients at once.
So share with these listeners how many pounds, how much power greens are we talking per day? Just so they know, not just a little sprinkle in, but how much?
Not little sprinkle. Well, it depends what you're trying to do for your health. So with Smoothie Shred, we have people just start with taking your blender and making it 75% of packed greens. And when I mean packed, I mean you get in there and you pack it down. So 75% greens. And then you take a handful of flax or chia seeds for your omega-3s and you pour that in there. And then 25% fruit. And that's a great jumping off point for people. And 25% fruit is actually enough. I'll see if you agree. I think that's actually enough to make it taste good. It doesn't need to be more than that. So if you get pineapples, and we like frozen fruit because then you don't need to water it down with ice cubes, but pineapple and mango and really, really super ripe bananas, you can make something that tastes super, super sweet, but still it's mostly greens. When people get into my healing programs, like I have a rapid healing group, and the next one starting July 1st, where actually I'm with you every day for 6 weeks, monitoring what you eat and giving you support. And for those folks, I push them up higher, like a half a cup of omega-3s a day, a pound of greens a day, and really push them hard to get as much healing as they can done in only in 6 weeks. But starting off, I just say go with the 75%, 25%, and the omega-3s. And if you join Smoothie Shred, we'll push you then too when we have the next challenge. We do that with folks as well there for free.
Awesome. So let's talk about like traditional medicine doctors. When it comes to these autoimmune deficiencies and these disorders, they're saying, hey, pop a pill, do this, but good luck, basically. Why are doctors not helping get to the root of the problem here?
Well, it's not the doctor's fault. I mean, they are victims of the system, and we all are. I mean, I'm a practicing physician. I prescribe medication, but I see medication as a tool. Medicines can save your life, but they can't give you health. And so we need to have a balanced approach where we can say, okay, right now you've got terrible arthritis, you've got all this stuff going on. Here's some medicine to help you feel better. Here's your food to help you heal the problem. But they don't teach that in medical school. So it's not the doctor's fault. I mean, I trained for 12 years just to find out my internship year. I'm finally a doctor. I know everything now. And then I freaking heal my disease with vegetables. I'm like, what happened, which, was extraordinary and has changed what I do as a physician forever. But most docs don't know that. That is changing. The healthcare revolution is happening right now. I mean, I've trained rooms of 600 physicians from all over the world who are learning how to do this. There's doctors' offices that buy my book, Goodbye Lupus, in bulk so that they can give them to their patients. So that stuff's changing. So at this point, when I first started doing it, people would come to me and say, my doctor told me this is bull crap, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'd say, cool, stay with your doctor so they can watch you heal and they'll learn something and that'll help other patients. Now I get referrals. So now it's half and half. I get half of them are referrals from doctors who follow me and suggest me to their patients, and the other half still say, I never heard of it, it's bull crap. So it's changing. I mean, that's huge that it's changed that much. But until it becomes something taught in medical schools, there's always going to be that skepticism because it's like, why would you train me for 12 years and not mention food if it was important? That's how I felt. I mean, until I healed, absolutely. I rolled my eyes too. Like, sure, a green smoothie, right. Like they would have mentioned that, I think. But, so we don't know. And the way we're trained is that if it's not done in a huge clinical trial, then don't pay attention to it. But the problem is clinical trials are all funded by drug companies. Big Kale does not fund clinical trials. Big broccoli, it just doesn't happen. And so we are automatically kind of trained into this system where we won't get that information. And so that's why it's been so great having documentaries out there. I mean, I've been in movies and I've had people doctors tell me that they first learned about this from watching Forks Over Knives on Netflix or seeing Eating You Alive, which I'm in now in theaters. They see that and they go, what? And then they start looking into it. So thanks to the internet, thanks to people like you who do interviews and put stuff out there, even doctors are starting to wake up and it's changing. But right now, people still need to take their health into their own hands and do what they need to do. And there's no side effects. You have a green smoothie, like side effects are increased energy, fat loss, more exercise stamina, less pain. I mean, there's no bad stuff, there's no downside to doing this for yourself. And you can, potentially get all of your health back if you really stick to it. So it's quite an extraordinary thing to get to do for people.
Well, it's Brooke, it's one of those three things that we were never taught. We weren't taught how to manage our money and grow our finances. Right. We weren't taught how to have our relationships and our marriages. And we definitely were never taught health going through the school system, right? We just don't know what we don't know.
And those are the things that we teach, right? So Tom teaches people how to become financially free. We just got back from teaching a week relationship retreat in Palm Springs.
Yeah, the three things that we got to learn.
How to have an extraordinary life, maybe that needs to be our title of what we do, but absolutely. And they're the essential things to having an extraordinary life, right? Financial freedom, great relationships, and extraordinary health. And most people, they might find their way to one of those things, but not all of them. And it rips you off. I mean, if you have enormous amounts of money and freedom, and then your health is going down the tubes, you've got nothing. So this is something really easy that everyone can do. And we have people who don't have a lot of money and who are using crappy blenders. If you have a crappy blender, you got to blend for like 10 minutes adding ice, whereas like a Vitamix is 30 seconds. But they're doing it and they're getting benefits. So it's not something you need to be rich to do, but you can have extraordinary health and it's not hard. And that's why I always tell people it's supermarket foods. It's not coming from like some tree that grows in the rainforest that, you know, you have to dig it up. And like, you know, it's something that everybody can have access to.
Absolutely. And for me too, like with the smoothie, I'm busy with, you know, being a business owner, being a dad, being a husband, doing everything I've got going on. I don't have to sit and plan out 6 meals a day with the proportions and all this. And I have way more health than a lot of people that do that. Right. Which that's what I love about this.
I will make smoothies and like, you know, I'll be seeing patients all day. I can drink my smoothie and not be rude. And actually they're like, oh yes, let me get my smoothie. Right. Whereas if I was eating salad while I was talking to you right now, you'd be like, what's going on here, right? You have broccoli in my teeth, you know. So it's really great for business people because, and even like moms often forget to eat. They're doing stuff for their kids and they don't take care of themselves. It takes 5 minutes to blend up a bunch of smoothies, put them in the fridge, and they're meals. If you're eating a pound of greens a day, that is a lot of meals, you know. So you literally can just pull those out of the fridge and drink them, and you're getting the best food possible to fuel your day, and it takes zero thinking or work. So it's really perfect. Yeah, it's been awesome.
How common are these diseases coming amongst Americans and the worldwide population today? You know, lupus and other autoimmune, you know, alopecia, I think is something where hair loss is coming from. I'm like,
autoimmune
how
alopecia,
common is this? Yeah. How common is this becoming with people today?
I don't have the numbers for you, but millions and millions of people. When I was diagnosed with lupus at 16, most people I talked to never heard of it. I'd never met someone who had it, ever. Now I can speak on stage to a diverse audience, not even a sick audience, but a diverse audience. I speak to business crowds, and I will be, you know, I'll be pushed up against the wall with people who want to talk to me afterwards. But, you know, half the room had someone they knew who died from lupus, people whose granddaughter died, twin sister died in their 20s, because this kills young people. There's an explosion in autoimmune diseases, whether it's lupus, scleroderma, Sjogren's. Who ever heard of Sjogren's before, like 5 years ago? Now everybody's got some Sjogren's mixed in with other stuff. All of these are autoimmune. But in addition, we've got more cancer than we've ever had. And they're also, the biggest heartbreak is that it's happening younger and younger. So when I got sick, usually people got autoimmune disease either in their late teens, hormonal stuff, or during pregnancy, some kind of hormonal trigger. I have multiple clients with lupus that are 8 years old. 12 years old, and they've got arthritis, crippling arthritis and pain and very low quality of life, who are actually doing great right now, by the way. But I mean, it's so sad. And same thing, childhood cancer is up higher than ever. When I was in medical school, diabetes, type 2 diabetes was called adult onset diabetes because only adults got it. And they warned us that it's getting younger. Now it's type 2 because children started getting it. So kids are getting sick younger and younger with diseases that used to be for old people, and it's because of what they're eating. And they can be reversed. But, you know, this is the first generation of kids where they're not expecting them to outlive their parents. It used to be every generation had a longer lifespan. It's going the other way. And that's one of the reasons why I push so hard to get this information and teach it for free and tell parents. I have parents who get rid of their own lupus. They're still giving their kids processed goldfish crackers and cheese sticks because it's easy. And I'm like, what are you doing? They have your genes. You've got to take responsibility. Yes, they're going to have tantrums because they want their cheese sticks. But would you rather deal with a tantrum now or have them yell at you when they're 20 and they're violently ill and they go, how could you not have shared this information with me when I was a kid? So it's something we really owe to our families. And my kids, we all drink green smoothies for breakfast. And my 8-year-old, his last cold was when he was 2 years old. Like they just don't get sick. And we're in a society where we're used to kids just getting sick all the time and they don't have to be.
Let's touch base in 1 second on how to help our kids be healthy. But Kristen Marshall has a question. I have rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus, I can't even pronounce this word, fibromyalgia, and myalgia, okay, and predisposed to autoimmune hepatitis. Have your numbers changed by diet and nutrition alone is what she asked.
Yes, absolutely. So my labs have been completely normal now for almost 13 years. No ANA, anti-dsDNA, C3, C4. That's just for people with autoimmune disease who track that stuff. And I've had that in my clients as well. So the most important thing, I believe, is that you feel great. And reversal RA responds really fast. I've had people who literally within 2 weeks are off all their RA meds, who are taking injections into their knees for years just trying to be able to walk pain-free. So that happens really, really fast. People's labs change on their own time. The antibodies that cause disease, antibodies have their own lifespan. So some people, it might take months for the labs to normalize, but they're symptom-free within days to weeks. So that's the most important thing, is you can make a really quick impact on how you feel. But yes, I've done it entirely with nutrition.
Awesome. Darcy asked, will this help Hashimoto's disease as well?
Absolutely, it can. So Hashimoto's is autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid. So when you have autoimmune disease, it can attack anything. Lupus, it attacks like your brain, your heart, your kidneys, but they're all different. Hashimoto's attacks your you have it, you now have the predisposition to have any autoimmune disease because it continues on. With Hashimoto's, you can stop the autoimmune process. It's whether or not you have any thyroid left determines if you need thyroid medicine. So if your immune system already killed your thyroid, you're still going to need to take thyroid hormone. It's essential for life. But you can stop the process of developing more autoimmune diseases or continue on the Hashimoto's process. For some folks, their thyroid is inflamed, but it's still alive. And so when they heal themselves and the thyroid works again and they don't need medication. So whether or not, how much of that you'll have, it'll improve your ability to minimize your medications and keep you healthy for the rest of your life.
Awesome. There you have it. Make sure, for those of you guys, Jordan Peterson, I know you just shared this. We appreciate you guys sharing. Share one more person. Share. I'll enter you for a $5 gift card to Amazon giveaway. Ooh. That's a joke we do. It's a joke we do, by the way, but get entered for that anyways. So let's kind of shift gears. Give some reactions if this is creating any value for you guys, or give some angry faces if you just think this is a bunch of hocus pocus. Let's see what you guys think.
No.
No, Brooke, let's switch gears, because I have 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and it is a challenge to get them to eat food in general, let alone green food, right? So tell us, how is it that and I know Thomas's answer is, well, the great thing is they're your kids, they'll do what you tell them to, or they don't get to eat, right? But let's hear maybe the mom's approach to how do you feed and keep this green nutrition, this good nutrition in your kids to help them build those habits.
Well, first of all, I'm at an advantage because this is all my kids know. So since they were 6 months old, they've been drinking green smoothies out of bottles. So for them, this is food. But I treat a lot of moms, and so I understand the battle. And sometimes my kids will get picky, but their choices, like which vegetables do you want, which fruit do you want?
Yep.
So one thing, so if you're trying to change your family dynamic and change your diet, one thing I really recommend is you engage your kids. So tell them the truth. I think it's really important for kids to learn that we can all be wrong sometimes and be okay with being wrong, right? So as parents, we can demonstrate that and say, you know what, mommy made a mistake. I thought that I was doing something healthy for you, but what I learned was some of the foods that we've all been eating could make us sick, and I love you and I want you to be healthy. So we're going to get rid of these bad foods. Will you help me do that? And then we're going to start eating these healthy foods. Will you help me pick out recipes? And then, hey, sometimes mommy's going to be really craving cheese. Can I talk to you about that? And then when you're craving bad stuff, you can talk to me, and really do it as a family together. Because you can't, I do have moms who go, I'm in charge. This is what they got to eat now. And you are ultimately, and you're right, but I'm also a psychiatrist. So I try to figure out ways to do things where people can really feel engaged. My 8-year-old, since he was 4, he's had a YouTube channel where he teaches people about eating. So if you educate them as well, kids get really into it. And, kids relate more to, I don't want to eat animals because I love them. Most of them aren't sick yet. So it's hard for them to think, I don't want to get arthritis. What's arthritis, right? But they can understand that level of it. But they do understand mommy used to be sick and she's healthy now. And and I always tell them, I'll make sure you guys never get what I get. You just follow what I tell you to eat. And my 4-year-old right now, he'll tell you, like, you need to eat green stuff to get strong. So every meal has to have something green. So either broccoli or spinach or something. I need my green stuff because I want to be strong. Show them Popeye. Right? So I really think being open with our kids, letting them know that you're struggling too, that you're craving bad stuff, and helping them feel really involved can really help. And ultimately though, if they, what my rule in my house is, if you don't like the dinner I made, there's the fruit bowls. We have 6 gigantic, you can't even call them bowls. They're like this big. We have 6 fruit buckets. If you don't like what I made, you're welcome to have that. And every once in a while they'll choose that. And if they want to have 2 oranges and an apple and a banana for dinner, great. But so they have an option, but I'm not going to get up and start cooking when mommy needs to sit down and eat. But I think all of those things can help. And yeah, there's a rough transition for some, but ultimately you're giving them the best thing you possibly can, which is the skills they need to have the ability to live their lives and do everything that they were born to do and not be bogged down with illness or obesity or anything else. Because the same foods that get you healthy create a super fast metabolism as well.
So what are some of the snacks that we need to be taking out of our kitchen that we're just so normal to giving our kids? And I'm not talking just Oreos and Chips Ahoy, but like some of these snacks that we think are healthy, which are really not. What are some things we need to be stripping out of our kitchen?
I'm going to do something for you. I have an iPhone 7, so I can either charge or use headphones. So I'm going to charge. Yeah.
Charge.
So one second. Yeah, because I just got this thing. I was going to do this on my iPad, but then it didn't allow me to.
Yeah, I didn't realize you can't do it on your iPad. It's only on your phone that they allow you to do this. So it's really cool, but it's really limited.
We're learning together. It's okay. We're all a work in progress, you know? So, you know, so now I have unlimited time. Okay, so the really sad thing is that the majority of foods that are marketed to kids are making them sick. Processed foods. I mean, you look at baby food. How is there peas that don't rot sitting in a jar that can stay good for? That's horrible. You know, like don't do that. So, I mean, baby foods, if you look at even stuff like their cereal bars, which is just supposed to be grains and fruit, the baby food cereal bars have corn syrup in them. But you go to the grown-up section, it's just fruit with no added sugar. It's like why? You know, so all the processed crackers and chips and all that stuff. When my kids, they're homeschooled now, but when they used to go to school, I would feel so sad in the morning seeing kids eating their breakfast snack, and it's like cupcakes out of a plastic, you know, bag, like processed crap and cookies and all that stuff, and nothing healthy in the entire lunchbox. And I would get it would make me emotional, you know, to see that. So it really needs to be whole foods from the earth. Kids love fruit. Like that should be sweet enough, right? You know, they can grapes and apples and bananas and peaches and pears and all that kind of stuff. So that should be in it. I posted a lot of pictures of my kids' lunch boxes. And people loved those. I thought they were really simple. You know, it's like an avocado sandwich and some, you know, some fruit and stuff. And you're like, oh my God, you know, because they don't know what to eat or what to eat them with, because it's so, everything's new all of a sudden. Like, what do you do? So I have some of that posted there if you flip through my pictures. But it's really about getting away from the processed stuff, all the oils. I mean, all the stuff that's just in the kids aisle or the snack aisle. Just, you got to stay away from that and go back to real foods, you know, fruits and vegetables. That's what's going to give them health. And I think we all know that on some level. It's like, oh yeah, fruits and vegetables, that's probably good, right? And yet somehow, if it says kids on it, or you know it's unhealthy, if it says healthy on the box, definitely unhealthy. I teach as a doctor too. So, come on, guys. Like, it says healthy cereal. It's processed crap. Like, it's not healthy. You don't see the word healthy in the vegetable aisle, do you? Like,
no. So so too many fruits. There's no way that these kids can eat too many fruits. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No. They can't. I mean, I actually had, this really happened. I'll give you an example. And if you're watching, sweetie, I'm sorry, but there was someone I used to work with who told me she was trying to change her diet. She goes, I messed up today. On the way to work, I got my daughter and me donuts. And then my daughter started crying that her stomach hurt, and I felt terrible. And I was like, well, what happened? Why'd you get donuts for breakfast? And, oh, well, we were late, so we had to stop for fast food. And I said, you know, the original fast food is fruit, right? And she goes, but I heard that it's not healthy to eat fruit for breakfast. And I didn't even answer her. I just looked at her for like that, for like 3-4 seconds. And she went, oh, it's probably better than donuts, huh? But she actually did that. She's like, oh, no, it's not good to eat fruit for breakfast. Let's get donuts. Right? So loves oranges. My older son loves apples and bananas. That's how they start their day every day. And, you know, the smoothie has the omega-3s and the greens in it. And they have great energy. Their teachers have always said they've never seen kids who could focus so well. Like, that's because they don't have processed sugar bounce around their system. They ate sustainable energy. And so that's totally great. So they can eat tons of fruit. My kids love fruit. I'm weird. I prefer salads and things over fruit. But no, you can't do too much of that. You just want to make sure you get your greens and your omega-3s. You don't want to live off bananas. But if your kids are starting their day with greens and omega-3s and some fruit, they're going to do it off a bowl of cereal. I mean, so yeah, it's absolutely the best thing. And I've never seen a kid OD on fruit.
Awesome. So there you guys have it. Make sure to click some reactions if this created any value. See, the whole reason of my mission is simple: create massive value for you guys, empower you to action. I know a lot of you guys have started doing the smoothie shred just because of me, and you've talked about losing 20, 30, 40 pounds. Now you guys can get involved in the Smoothie Shred Facebook group. Go to smoothieshred.com, learn more from Brooke here on how you can actually be healthy, have an optimal life worth living. She's going to put the link later on here for a webinar she's doing tonight. And tell me the name of the webinar again that you're doing tonight. Six steps for reversing autoimmune disease with supermarket food. So this can be done at your grocery store. It doesn't have to be expensive or out of control. We appreciate you guys being on here. Make sure if you guys have any questions, start putting them in the comments before we start wrapping up. So Brooke, what are maybe 1, 2, let's say 3 tips that you can give these viewers on just to change and have an optimal health with their life?
So it's really important, number one, is to just get started. A lot of times people put things off, like New Year's, I'm going to do it. Or when I finish what's in my fridge, that's when I'm going to do it. And so what I always encourage people to do is just start now. Just whatever you can do right now. So maybe if you're going to have fast food for lunch, get a side salad with your burger. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do right now to make a better choice than what you have been making? Maybe having a glass of water when you get off of here and you're like, oh, I'm going to drink some water, right? So do something every moment. And if you made a mistake, what can I do now? Better, in a better place than where I was a minute ago. And that's what we really love about Smoothie Shred. It's not about what you're giving up, but what can you do? And on that lines, number 2 would be add what you're missing. So if you're not ready to dramatically change your diet, you're like, I don't own any tie-dye, I can't be a vegan, then go ahead and just add what you're missing. And the green smoothies are so amazing for helping people get their health back. And I've had people who refuse to eat a vegetable who can drink their greens because the way we make them taste good and they feel good. So add what you're missing. If you go to smoothieshred.com, it's 100% free. You can get our recipes and just get started. And the third one is the biggest one to me, is to focus on your why, or your reason why you must do this. So when people are focused on what they're giving up, it's really hard to make a decision to change, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't live without meat, or oh my God, I love chips, or whatever it is that you're addicted to. If you're focused on what you're giving up, you will always feel like you're repressing yourself and you're hurting yourself and you're missing out on life and you're not going to be motivated, right? Who wants to live like that? Like any diet I've ever done back in the day when I had to diet to lose weight before I met Thomas, right? I would say, like, I am not eating ice cream until I eat ice cream again, right? It was like there was no
right,
ability to like sustain it, because you're giving something to focus on. The people who are really successful, we have them focus on, why do you need to do this? What is so important to you that it's worth changing everything about your life? So for me, it's, I get to now grow old with the man that I adore more than anything in the world and raise 2 amazing children. And I get to have a career where I help thousands, maybe millions of people from all over the world, right? So for me, there is no macaroni and cheese that'll ever be good enough to take me off my path, because what I'm doing is so big that nothing that can stop me, right? So you need to figure out that what it is. So I have people literally, when you wake up, before your feet hit the ground, close your eyes and think about, what do I need to be amazing for? Is it, I want to be able to run a marathon? And I have people who've gone from disabled to running marathons again, right? I don't like to run, but I admire that and people want to do it, right? So is it that, I want to run a marathon again? Is it that I want to be able to run after my grandkids? Is it that I've always dreamt of being able to wear a bikini, or whatever it is? If you have that image in your head and it's really big and it's really strong, then when your feet hit the ground and you go into the kitchen, you'll want the green smoothie. There's nothing, because it's your vision. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you, is that, try not to focus on what you think you're giving up, because you have no idea. Like you pointed out, now that you've had all that good food in your body, you naturally don't even want the things that you used to love, right? So focus on all the things you want to bring into your life: extraordinary energy, extraordinary ability to overcome disease, and to do all the things that you may have always wished you could do, but don't feel able to now because you're too tired, or don't feel like you have the ability to do it because of illness.
And it doesn't, it can change quickly. Like the last 6 or 7 months for me have gone by so fast. And for me, it was pain driven. I started seeing a good friend of mine, 39, dies of stomach cancer, making millions of dollars a year, but he's dead now, right? I had a customer of mine, 28 years old, died of an autoimmune deficiency disorder, just dropped dead at work, right? I started seeing people my age dying, and I'm like, dude, this ain't me. I'm not going to allow myself. I have too much to accomplish here on earth, right? So I think she hit the nail on the head at the end. You've got to figure out, why must you do this today? Not next week, not next year, not next decade, because when you get into your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, it's almost too late, in my opinion, right? Like your 30s is kind of that make or break time frame where like you've got a chance to still like pull your shit together. But once you get into your 40s and your 50s, man, dude, you're like, not to say don't start, but like it gets harder and harder as time goes on, right?
As
so
someone who's speaking from over 40, I can say it's never too late. And I've reversed disease in people who are in their 60s and 70s. My grandmother had osteopenia, and then in her 80s reversed it and has bones of a young adult. It's never too late to have more energy and more health and more success in your life. So even if you're not, a little spring chicken like Colton over here, it's never too late to do that.
Well, and what I mean by this, it's obviously never too late, right? Brooke, it's never too late. But what happens when you start seeing these?
Yeah.
Right. So the habit, the negative habit.
Yeah.
Right. The negative habit gets harder and harder to beat later on. So do it now. When is the time? Now is the time, right? So we've got a couple of questions on here. Not sure what David's asking, but he says, what are your thoughts on Whole Foods? And I'm guessing, is that like a healthy place to actually shop, or do you even need Whole Foods?
Whole Foods is great. It's expensive, but you can find a lot of organic produce and things there. And a lot of people, there's a whole movement where what's healing and healthy for people. I think if your microphone is like banging around a lot, I'm hearing a lot of noise. Okay, don't move.
My bad.
Okay, don't move. Okay, there you go. And then, so some people don't like the word vegan because it brings up, all the ethical people and all that kind of stuff. So they use the word whole foods, plant-based, meaning unprocessed because it comes from a whole food. Like that's the difference between juices and smoothies. Juices just to extract some juice from a food. A smoothie is a whole food. You're getting all of it in, the fiber, the insides, everything, which is why it's healthier for you. So a whole foods plant-based diet is the type of diet you want to go for. And what my husband and I teach is a high raw whole foods plant-based diet, where the smoothies give you the raw foods in their natural form, which is what gives you so much energy and the faster metabolism.
So not just whole foods, but raw whole foods is what's really important here. Raw
They've got to be a part of your diet. Because I've seen a lot of people who switch to a whole foods plant-based diet trying to reverse disease, and then including doctors, and then they contact me and say, all right, so I feel better than I did before. Uh-oh. No, can you still see me?
I see you. Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I can't see me, but that's okay. So I can't see you anymore.
Double tap your screen. Double tap your home button. Your face is paused now. That's for sure. Okay. There you are. There we see you.
Okay,
yep, we're back.
Now. Okay. My news app tried to give me a notification. I tried to make it go away, and instead I went to the news. So sorry about that. But so people, they're saying, okay, I gave up meat and dairy and oils and stuff, but my disease is just a little bit better. But they're not eating raw foods, or not eating omega-3s, they're not getting enough water. So when we add the smoothies to a whole food plant-based diet, boom, that sets the cascade off where they actually start to reverse and heal the disease. So while for some people, they just eat so much of the bad food that just getting rid of that and switching to like beans and rice and potatoes, they feel dramatically better. For a lot of people, they still need to take it to the next level, which is adding the greens and everything. And again, that's why the smoothies are easy. You don't have to sit there and eat salad all day. You can literally stick a straw and just drink your way back to being healthy.
Awesome. Colby asked, how many ounces of smoothies do you give your kids every day?
My kids, so you just give them what they can drink, right? So my 4-year-old eats more than my 8-year-old. So he's like the Incredible Hulk, that kid. But they both drink about 20 ounces for breakfast. So you just go with what they can do and get them used to it. So if they're just starting out, you just give them a little glass of it. They love to make them. So that's really fun for them, is that, if they get to turn on the blender, they're more likely to drink it. If they pick what fruit goes in, they're more likely to drink it. Some kids, for some reason, are afraid of green. My kids won't drink it if it's not green. If I put blueberries in and it's not green, they're like, what happened? We need green. I'm like, it's green, it's green. But some kids, they're afraid of it. So I tell them, like, add things. you've never given your kids greens and you really need to change them over. But yeah, I would say you start out with like 5 to 10 ounces and you try to make one that they like. And then they'll naturally increase it, you know, over time. But my kids drink, I think, about 20 ounces at this point.
And just so you guys know, they don't taste as bad as they look. You put enough good fruit in there, and it tastes fantastic, right? Like, because I carry mine everywhere. Like when I went to Vegas a couple months ago, I'm carrying mine around Vegas, going to the different events or whatever, right? And everyone's like, oh, that looks nasty. I'm like, it's actually really delicious, right? Like, and I feel fantastic. So it doesn't taste gross if you put the right ratios in. Make sure to check out Smoothie Shred. Go to smoothieshred.com. Brooke, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, that's great. I mean, I'd love to see people. I'll post the webinar. They'll be available for a week afterwards. So you get the class 1 replay and then
awesome.
This is.
So
yeah, everyone do that. And then smoothieshred.com, go there and join it will direct you to our Facebook group, and you can get direct support from my husband and myself. For people just learning to start adding health to your life. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be painful. It can be literally just adding a drink and start feeling better and being able to do more.
Awesome. Brooke, thank you so much for being on here. We look to have that posted in the comments, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you later.
You're awesome, man. Thank you so much. Bye,
thanks.
Guys.
Bye. All right, guys. Whoops, I flipped it around too early there. So real quick, guys, you just heard it. You get an anti-inflammatory nutrition going on. Even if you don't have an autoimmune disease, prevent it from coming. You're going to have more health, more energy, more color in your skin. You're just going to be able to perform at a higher level. That was my thing. That's like I wanted to perform at my peak potential, my peak level. That's why I got involved in one-on-one working with Mentor. I was blessed to be able to really crank it with the Smoothie Shred. But you just learned that if you're not healthier in the situation like where you're kind of just overweight and just need some energy, it actually helps everyone involved. So make sure to click that share button. I believe this is one message that is really important. I'll share the link for my smoothie recipe with a complete video here in just a minute in the comments below. If you have any buyers or sellers in the state of Utah, send them to us. Or if you're looking to buy or sell, get a hold of me and the WGR Real Estate Sales Team. Also, if you're in real estate by chance and you want to learn how to level up your real estate sales business, go to fearlessagent.com and get signed up for coaching and training today. We appreciate you, and we'll see you later.